Hi everybody, welcome to your first half of June lunar eclipse video. This covers the first half of the month, and we are heading into eclipse season this month as well as July. Thank you for subscribing and turning on notifications. That will also bring you posts that I make on the YouTube community every month. So this is the first in a new series this month that happens on June 5th, although we're already feeling it building. Eclipses follow the nodal transits, which are really, in essence, amplifying the areas in our life for evolution and growth and areas for release and letting go. And they move us along in our development as souls, having this 3D experience, often operating above and even below the conscious mind's function of, analyzing and planning. But this is a full moon penumbral lunar eclipse, and it is in Sagittarius, which means the full moon is in Sagittarius, the sun is in Gemini. So this is cutting across the axis of the higher mind, the lower mind. The lower mind, by that I mean cognitive functions, and the higher mind, intuitive and sensory functions. And it is opposing both the sun and a retrograde Venus in Gemini, and squaring Mars and Neptune in Pisces. And Pisces has to do with medicine and health and energy and drive and creativity and the sensory side of life. This is also called a strawberry moon, and it's fainter than a full or even a partial lunar eclipse because the moon moves through the outer shadow, Earth's shadow, the outer part of that. So it's harder to see the beginning and the end of it. It's not as discernible. And this eclipse will be perfecting and will be visible over Europe, Australia, Africa, and the Asian continent again, just as the total full moon lunar occurred in January. These countries will be a focus on the global stage for some reason. And even at this filming date, China is poised to impose a sweeping national security law in Hong Kong. And this move is the boldest yet to undercut Hong Kong's autonomy and to bring it under full control, as China kind of works to rewrite the one country, two system framework that has allowed the territory to enjoy some autonomy for the past 23 years rather. And China's also a financial powerhouse, and they're a big player on the world stage and will continue to be into the years ahead. Digital currency use is more prevalent, and this eclipse falls in their 10th house, the full moon lunar eclipse in their 10th house of rulership, Sagittarius, and it's opposing Gemini, the two-system party, in its 4th house of the populace. Sagittarius also rules high courts, Supreme Court justices and decisions, long-distance travel, airlines, colleges, universities. We're starting to see a trickle now of plans and how these different universities, for both admissions as well as execution of classes, what they'll be bringing online in a different mix. And these are all, the airlines are under an extreme period of change and adjustment. This eclipse has to do with belief systems and higher consciousness and media and legal activities. And it also will have a bearing on death rates, on insurance, unemployment systems that have been very problematic here in the United States because many of them were implemented back in the 1980s and can't handle the load. Taxes, and the Mars-Neptune energy in that medicinal sign of Pisces will bring new developments in the pandemic and vaccine areas. There's a lot of fear on this vaccine development, and vaccines are huge money makers for the people who invest in them and the people who patent them. The eclipse is exact at 3:25 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it lasts for about 3 hours and 18 minutes. So this can have a strong effect into the next 3 months ahead. Lunar eclipses are super full moons, and they always denote a subjective awareness, your personal life, relationships, perhaps a release, a surrender. Women and relationships are strongly focused on this eclipse. I know the Supreme Court is looking at abortion laws in Louisiana that could trickle down to affect other states. So this is a strong signature with the Venus opposition and retrograding, as we're all collectively under a revisiting of relationship dynamics, relationship communications. Many of your minds have been going back to previous timelines in order to mine and process some experiences that you've had. And remember, this is in effect through the 25th of June. Venus retrograding in Gemini is a great time to go back and pick up on projects and refining them because perhaps you were too distracted or too busy to do so before the retrograde. So there can be some, buried emotions coming up for conscious realizations and developments in the houses in your own chart in which they occur, Gemini and Sagittarius. It's also helpful to look at where Leo is located and Cancer, because the Sun and the Moon are part of the monthly cyclical developments with the new moon and the full moon. New moons are potent times for new external developments. Full moons are potent times for personal awareness and even epiphanies. So that has a bearing also always on the Leo and the Cancer houses. But finding the balance between these two, the higher mind and the lower mind, and emotional awareness regarding, Gemini themes and topics such as your locale and communications and neighbors and siblings and writing projects and commercial activity and sales and finances and planning. The square to Mars, Neptune in Pisces may see you taking action on some things that develop at this full moon lunar eclipse and becoming aware of. Conversely, you may need some time out while remembering to feed your senses and soul with beauty and artistry and music and meditation. Any lack you may be experiencing at this eclipse can also have a propulsion effect, moving you along to take action of some sort, to rectify that which you have become glaringly aware of during the lunar eclipse reveal. And for those of you on the path of awakening and healing, this can really push on some of your belief systems in an awe-inspiring manner. Realizing that the dimensional universe is much larger in its profundity and potentials. In my sessions with clients, these themes continue to arrive. The realization of the largesse operating beyond personal awareness and belief systems. And certainly I encourage you to come in for a personal session or a coaching package if it resonates for you. From the 3rd to the 9th of June, the Sun is squaring Mars from Gemini to Pisces at 16 degrees. So this is about energy and ego and mobility and action and anger and irritation and making things happen, communication and health. This connection is exact on the 6th, right around this full moon lunar eclipse. And from the 10th to the 12th of June, the Sun squares Neptune, which can, there's a lot of disinformation out there and confusion and low energy and sensory awareness and creativity and beauty and artistry. And from the 11th until the 14th, Mars is conjunct Neptune. So we want to check our ego urges, because if you go for something with total self focus, it has to be good for everybody. Mars Neptune is talking about boundless energy and the collective energy, and it tends to bite you if you move forward in just a selfish or self-interested way. I have found that profusely with Mars Neptune transits and configurations in the chart, that you have to check your motivation and check your intention and keep it very clean and high, good for myself and others. And this can be a very active time in the creative and spiritual and sensory aware areas globally. This can be a lot of energy and ego behind medicinal vaccines, this COVID event, some anger around it as well. Mercury is slowing down for his retrograde on the 18th at 15 degrees of Cancer. So you want to button up any housing or family or restaurant or public business activities and make decisions. Get those buttoned up, I would say, by the 10th or so of June, because you're then heading into a look back and a review period in these very areas. And some of you may experience this more as a return to some semblance of normalcy during the retrograde. Real estate, family connections, and developments and business will be in strong focus through August 4th. Mercury will station direct on July 12th and springboard everyone into a five-week period of strong and fast outer developments, that which you've been waiting for or honing. Because it will station direct on the 12th at 5 degrees. And, Cancer, which is bringing much needed and desired changes from mid-July onward. And I'd like to close this video with some thoughts from the Heart Math Institute. A lot of profound words and some messaging that I received a few days ago. And that is this, that without management, our mind tends to dictate our understanding and actions and reactions and decisions, based largely on old, learned, handed down response patterns. And in today's fast collective awareness, it seems quite normal for our mind to override our heart's advice. It is normal, but it is the old normal, which is why our personal and global stress deficit stays rapidly on the increase. AKA, we need some skill building here. This paradigm isn't working. And for example, stress causes many people to habitually respond to pressured situations with intense anger and resentment and emotionally harmful remarks, while knowing in their hearts that this behavior is destructive to themselves and to their loved ones. This is just one example of the endless ways we overstress and age ourselves from not using our heart's free wisdom for navigating our lives. Much love to all of you, and I'll speak with you again soon.